Hello everyone. This is Spoiler Lab. Today we are going to talk about the psychological thriller Open Grave. Just look deep into this man's eyes. You can't really tell right away whether he is dead or alive. But the man suddenly blinks, and all his body, muscles, and tendons start to crunch and twist, just like a zombie or an addict during withdrawal. Once awakened, he looks around and understands that he is in a deep hole filled with decaying corpses. He notices a woman's silhouette somewhere above and asks her for help. After a moment of deliberations, she throws him an end of a rope and runs away. But before getting out of there, our character finds a revolver in the hole. After having walked through the thicket of the midnight, rainy forest, the man discovers a cabin. He loads the gun and goes inside, where a group of people are already discussing whether to help the man in the hole. The people notice him, and the chaos erupts. They point gun barrels at one another, blaming each other for the death of all those people and cannot figure out in whose house they presently are. Our character tries to explain that he woke up in a pile of corpses, remembering nothing, and the Asian woman helped him get out of there. Others start to reproach the woman for helping him, since they don't even know who he is. But he doesn't know who they are either. All of a sudden, a man who is lying on a floor starts to scream loudly, while his body crunches and twists in a familiar manner. An attractive blonde tries to help him, others observe in shock. Our character asks what the hell is going on here and what is wrong with that guy. But the guy answers that he remembers nothing. The blonde adds that not a single one of them remembers anything. They explain further that there are no computers, no smartphones, so they cannot contact the outside world. However, they do have something like plastic badges. They could at least find out their names. The blonde says her name is Sharon. One man calls himself Michael, and the second one, the one with a rifle, is named Lucas. The one that has woken up is Nathan. But neither the Asian woman nor our character has the documents. Moreover, the woman is just silent and constantly draws some hieroglyphs. Our character tries to understand what she is writing and why she saved him. But the others explain to him that the woman is mute. She hears everything, but she cannot say anything. Besides, she doesn't understand English, but she clearly knows more than anyone because she awoke before everyone else. The group decides to search the house and tries to figure out everything. Our character is with Nathan. They look around a storeroom and notice a calendar with marks on a fridge, where a date, the 18th of April, is circled in red. According to the calendar, it is the 16th today, meaning something will happen the day after tomorrow. At this moment, Lucas and the Asian lady try to investigate the similar hematomas from the needles that they both have on their veins. In the meantime, Michael finds a cupboard with a whole arsenal of weapons and ammunition. The characters decide to arm themselves and be ready for anything, just in case. Sharon takes our character to the showers, where she suggests he freshens up. After remaining on his own, the character gets odd flashbacks for the first time. While having a shower, he tries to remember who he is, what his name is, and what is supposed to happen on the 18th, but to no avail. Suddenly, someone shouts out that the Asian lady has escaped to the forest. Michael and Nathan are left to guard the house. The guys study the library, and suddenly Nathan realizes that he knows Latin and understands various medical definitions. And Michael finds out that his hands and body remember a lot. For example, how to load a weapon quickly. The rest of the group move through the forest, and our character remembers how he carried some corpse with a scorpion tattoo. They suddenly come across a man's body, tied to a tree with a barbed rope. They look around and understand that it is not the only corpse here. The group then hear a woman scream and walk in its direction. They come across a small cabin and enter inside, where they see the Asian lady, feeding a woman who is tied up like an animal. She gets angry and tries to attack our character, shouting that he has used her daughter. The character is forced to knock her out with a rifle butt. They also notice a CCTV camera, which means there must be a control point. The next morning, the group intend to go to the forest again. Michael and the Asian lady remain on guard. Suddenly, a man's heartbreaking scream emerges from the forest. He finds the man at a glade, tied up with a barbed rope. Michael tries to help him, but the man suddenly chokes him with the rope and sticks a sharp wooden stick into his neck. In the meanwhile, the rest of the group bump into a big pile of branches, among which they find two working cars. Lucas finds a photo in the car, on which all of them are shown, except for our character. Suddenly, the Asian lady appears and says that Michael urgently needs help. The group run to the site of the incident, trying to give him first aid, but Michael chokes on his own blood and dies. They decide to inspect the terrain and to divide. The main character and Sharon arrive at an abandoned building, and the number 18 is also written on its fence. They search the territory, and Sharon notices a boy running by. They run after him, but he locks himself up in some storage. They see the boy through a gap and try to find out what he knows. The boy shouts for Jonah to leave because they are arriving tomorrow. The character finally finds out his name and is surprised by the child's knowledge. The boy releases a Rottweiler at them. Jonah gets angry and tries to break the lock with the rifle, but he doesn't succeed. Meanwhile, Nathan notices that Lucas is feeling sick. He has a strong headache and weird flashbacks, showing him that he knows the Asian lady. He grabs her hand tightly in a panic, but Nathan calms him down. They send Lucas to rest after this, and she decides to show the guy the cabin with the tied-up woman. Once there, they see that the woman has escaped, and they go in search of her. They bump into some barracks in the forest where Nathan finds glasses. He tries them on and understands that these belong to him. Nathan also has some flashbacks of when he participated in experiments on people, and the woman goes back to the house where she sees Lucas again. He starts to follow her, constantly repeating that he remembers her. But the Asian lady locks herself up in an attic to avoid him. In the search for the woman, Lucas finds an entrance to the basement, where he discovers various medical flasks, dishes with human brains, and the control point for observing the cells. The bars of all the cells are opened. In the meantime, Nathan continues to search the barracks, inside one of which he hears a woman's cry. He opens the door and sees that woman from the cabin with the dead daughter in her arms. She calls Nathan a murderer and tries to attack him, but he closes the bars in time. Nathan leaves the barracks and notices some weird people approaching him from everywhere. They are all screaming and holding onto their heads. In the basement of the house, Lucas finds a video camera and watches a video recording. Jonah is in it, saying that it is the 96th day of some research, and one of the subjects finally got the positive reactions to their injections, so they are on the right track. Though, there is a side effect, memory loss. According to him, the subjects lose consciousness and almost die at the beginning, but then regain consciousness and remember nothing. Lucas and the Asian lady are among the subjects in the video. Meantime, Jonah and Sharon come back to the house where Lucas, armed and angry, awaits them. He points the rifle at Jonah and shouts that all this is his fault because he experimented on them. There are video recordings that prove that. Sharon demands explanations from Jonah, but he answers that he still remembers nothing. Lucas then lets Sharon watch the recording and, with tears in her eyes, she takes his side. Jonah tries to justify himself, but Lucas knocks him out with the rifle butt. Once awakened, John discovers that Lucas drags him to that hole with the corpses and dumps him there. He beats his way through the corpses and sees the girl with the scorpion tattoo. Lucas is aroused and rushes into the house with Sharon and the mute girl and asks for car keys. The girls understand that he is not in his right mind. Sharon asks him to sit down and relax, but Lucas starts behaving inadequately. He pushes Sharon and chases the mute girl around the house. After catching her, Lucas aggressively tries to rape her. Sharon gets there in time to help and scares Lucas off with a gunshot. He jumps out of the window and runs to the forest. In the meantime, Jonah is having a rough time in the hole with the corpses. He has trouble breathing, but the Asian lady appears again and throws him a rope. Jonah gets out and asks the woman to go back home and keep her distance from him. He himself will search for the boy who should know at least something. After returning to that building, Jonah discovers something like a field hospital. He finds a map of the area with an outlined route. Jonah sees flashbacks again of him asking some man to transport a container because this is their last chance. John hears some noise and meets two infected people. He drops the car keys, but the madwoman grabs them, swallows them, and tries to attack him. Jonah is forced to kill her. We see him driving the car while the keys, covered in blood, hang from the ignition switch. Jonah encounters some people on the road. The boy is among them. His infected mother is tied up inside the car, whereas the boy's grandmother points a rifle at John and asks him not to bother them with the injections anymore. He tries to find out what he had done, but they drive away. John notices that same container with the flasks next to an abandoned car. Flashbacks occur to him again. He remembers the creation of a virus that kills the human brain, whereas the life-saving vaccine is in those flasks, intended for the needs of an army. He discovers a driver's corpse inside a car and the ID with the name of Jonah Cook. Besides, he finds a happy photo of him and Sharon. Out of nowhere, an automobile appears and hits his car. Lucas is behind the wheel, and he is very sick. Jonah tries to help him and explains that he meant no harm. Quite the contrary, he tried to help. Jonah intends to inject Lucas with the vaccine, but he attacks him and tries to choke him. Jonah hits him with a stone, and he calms down a little bit. Jonah asks to hold on to him, but Lucas says it is a living hell inside his head. Right before his death, he sees flashbacks of him thanking Jonah with the other characters, drinking to the rescue of their lives, and the return of the memories. But their celebration is interrupted by an infected woman who jumps out of the cell, so not everyone was saved. In the meanwhile, Nathan regains consciousness, remembers everything that's happened and rushes to search for Jonah. He runs into the house where Sharon is, and they fight off the infected ones that attack the house from outside. Jonah hurries to their rescue and, while on the road, he experiences final flashbacks about the moment when everything went out of hand. Jonah asks everyone to gather in the house and inject themselves with the vaccine. But an infected man catches up with him and accidentally pushes him down into the hole with the corpses. The dawn of the 18th comes. Nathan and Sharon continue to fight off the infected ones, and Jonah is running to help them. The sound of helicopters emerges at a distance, and the infected people die one by one. Nathan suddenly remembers that the rescue operation was supposed to arrive on the 18th. He tries to tell the military forces that they are alive, asking them not to shoot. But the armed group has an order to leave no survivors, so they kill Nathan. Jonah and Sharon are horrified, trying to hide. The mute girl hides successfully in the forest as well. Sharon feels certain discomfort while on their way and notices that she was stabbed with a knife by the infected woman from the cabin. Jonah takes Sharon to the hole with the corpses. They fall there, trying to hide from the military and inject themselves with the vaccines again. Sharon passes him a note to help him remember everything. The military appears and throws new corpses down the hole without noticing the survivors. Jonah regains consciousness sometime later, remembering nothing again, whereas the note gets lost among the corpses. He frees himself from Sharon's body, finds the gun in the pocket and tries to get out of there. He is saved once again by the nameless Asian lady. We can then hear Sharon's off-screen voice, reading out the note. It explains that they are doctors who are battling a deadly epidemic. The mute girl is a key to a cure since she has a natural immunity to the virus. It is thus important to save her and then the whole of humanity. In the last scene of the film, Jonah and the mute girl approach the edge of the huge quarry which is filled with thousands of corpses. Thanks to everyone for watching. Subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and suggest your films in the comments, and we will try to cheer you up with high quality content as often as possible. See you soon.